Chains rattle broken, now we rise. Flag in my hand, stars burn the skies. Truth ain't dead, though the liars try. They scream loud, but the words all die. Guys watching hands, praise to the throne. Freedom ain't free, blood built this home. Continue freedom, keep it alive. Red, white, blue, we bleed to survive. Continue freedom, keep it alive. Land of the free, ain't bending the knee. Truth in my veins, it's all I see. Patriots roar, no fear in the fight. Continue freedom, stand in the light.
Okay, another live stream. You guys are already in the chat. Thank you all so much for coming back. I truly appreciate you. For the new folks, it already popped up, but hit the subscribe button, like button, notification bell. That way you don't miss any future videos. I'm feeling a little under the weather today, so I'm going to try to keep the energy up as much as I possibly can, but if I don't seem like my normal perky self, that's why. We've got a lot to talk about today. MTG, you saw from the thumbnail, MTG is allegedly being investigated by the Secret Service for leaking the location of Donald Trump. This was back in September. We're going to talk about that. Also, Tucker Carlson cozying up, still showing up at the White House, even though when we watch his content outside of, him meeting with Donald Trump and, all that, what he's doing in his day-to-day life, he is undermining Donald Trump in a lot of ways, a whole lot of ways. So we're going to talk about that as well. We've got a little bit of Candace stuff we're going to talk about, hit a couple of highlights from Scott Jennings. We're going to talk about some of the protesting that's going on. It should be a pretty packed show. Before we get into it, I got to show you something. This is, the social media space is an interesting thing. In the UK, I've finally found a good graphic. I should have built one, but I found a great graphic. Countries arresting people for online comments. Look at the UK. Holy moly. That's a fallen state. It really is. Followed by Belarus, of all places, then Germany and China. So 12 times more, well, probably 10 times more arrests in the UK than in China for social media posts. What in the world? What kind of world are we living in right now? Okay, let's get to, and one other thing, and this one's just, whoever runs the White House TikTok account, I hope they got a really big Christmas bonus because they're killing it. I don't know if you guys saw this or not. I'm going to play it so you can see it. Check this out.
Look like anybody. I saw this video. It didn't look like anybody got run over to me.
Get out of the car.
Based off what I'm seeing here, it really doesn't look like a ICE officer was run over.
Get out of the car.
You can see the video and see the agent wasn't run over.
Get out of the car.
We all saw that video. She didn't run over the officer.
Get out of the car.
Wow.
This was clearly not with any sort of intention to run somebody over.
Get out of the car.
And then it ends on the White House. So whoever put the mashup together, I'm not laughing at the circumstance. The circumstance is sad. Anytime lethal force has to be used, it's obviously terrible. However, people put themselves in these situations. You guys were on yesterday and we played a ton of videos. And yes, you're right, Benjamin. I just saw it. This administration is on point with social media content. They absolutely are. They're killing it. It's great. But I played yesterday all the video clips of people that are undermining the police and I've been watching them all day today. So when I was doing research, I didn't get to research all day today or as long as I wanted to. I was doing some other work, but as I'm scrolling through X, it's video after video of people throwing things at ICE agents and all of that. Nick Sorter actually got a really good video, and I promise I'm going to get to the main point here tonight in just a minute. But this is the sort of thing that I actually want to see. The consequences. I've watched these ICE agents pepper spraying people and doing all manner of other things, and that's what needs to happen. But and I'm going to mute it. I can't remember what the language is like, but here they go. ICE agents chasing that guy in the orange jacket down. And There you go. Your actions have consequences. He's smiling at us there. Pull your pants up, bro. Good gracious sakes alive. But yeah, this is what I want to see. I want to see ICE actually and federal law enforcement. Look, there have to be consequences for this sort of thing. And they're well within their rights to do this. If you're chucking bricks, rocks, snowballs, all that kind of stuff at people, you deserve to get a mouthful of pepper spray or bear spray or whatever it happens to be. All right, so let's get to the first topic of tonight, the big one. This is Marjorie Taylor Green, who has, like a lot of people on our side of the aisle, she's turned a really weird corner. And I call her, she's the future co-host of The View, I believe. This is from Colin Rugg. Colin Rugg is pretty consistent in his reporting. And he says, report, the White House told Secret Service that MTG may have tipped off protesters about his surprise visit to Joe's Seafood back in September. And this is according to Axios. Viral footage shows Trump being confronted by Code Pink protesters who called him Hitler. In response to Axios, Green said the claim, of course, she's going to say that it was an absolute lie, a dangerous lie. I would never do that. Of course, she's going to deny it. We all know that. The outlet reports that Green had recommended the restaurant to Trump. So that's first point. Green did say she recommended it, but didn't know when Trump was going to go. However, officials say that after recommending the president go to Joe's, Green repeatedly called the White House staffers the day of the dinner to confirm he was going. After Trump heard about Green's calls, he called her shortly before leaving the White House and confirmed his planned visit, the sources said. And if you guys don't remember this was what he and Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio were met with. And he handled it like a champ. He walks up to him. He's like, whatever.
Enjoy your dinner. Thank you.
Oh, and the vice president. He had the whole cabinet there. And what we saw was the photo, and I can't remember if it was at the end of this clip or if it was at the end of another one. I don't think it was. There was the photo of the Code Pink operative who was hanging out, getting her photo taken in Marjorie Taylor Greene's office. She's turned leftist. I mean, that's really what it is. She's, at the very least, she finds them profitable politically somehow. But she's cozied up to them, and if this is the case, it's a big deal because we're talking about security threats. The man who has had two people try to take his life, and MTG is cavalier enough to say, well, I'm going to go ahead and tip off some protesters so that they can harass him with his cabinet at the dinner. The vice president, the secretary of defense, the secretary of state, and the president of the United States. I mean, look, good gracious. In what world does somebody like this think it's okay? And, I've watched her with The View and how she's cozied up to the left. She's been playing nice with people on CNN, people who are diametrically opposed to everything the Republican side of the aisle stands for, the conservative side of the aisle stands for. She's been cozying up with The View, who hate Donald Trump with a passion, and she does too. And the similarity, interestingly enough, it really stems back to one thing. And, she also was cozying up to some of the comedians who I guess people want to get all their information from because, I don't know, I guess that's the thing now. They don't like Israel, but they want all these social programs and all that. She was on, I think it was, what's his name? The really big, the fat comedian who has a popular podcast. I cannot remember his name. I think Dylan says it. I keep wanting to say Seth Dillon. I don't think that's it. Whatever it is. Anyway, you know who I'm talking about. And so she was on there saying, we've got to do student loan forgiveness. We've got to do the healthcare, the socialized medicine, all the same, a lot of the same things that Nick Fuentes has talked about. So it's really strange, but I'm glad it's happening now. This early. We're finding this out in the first year of Donald Trump's presidency. These people have flushed themselves out. They've come out from hiding, and we know who we should and should not trust. But I hope there are some consequences for this. Like any other person who says, I found out where the president's going to be, I'm going to let some deranged leftists know where it is. I mean, that's a serious breach, serious security breach. And it's petty and it's vindictive is what I think. So it's petty and vindictive in, to heck with the consequences. I'm just going to do it, is what she's saying. And the other piece of this is Tucker Carlson. So Tucker Carlson's along those same lines. And if you're new here, I was a huge Tucker fan. I've done several videos on Tucker. Tucker wrecks a liberal, or he destroys this person or that person. There were some really funny videos out there that have been made over the Tim Dillon. Thank you, Satiric Talks. Yeah, Tim Dillon. That's who it was. And Tim Lard Dillon. Sorry, I got to put that one up. If anybody wants to know the comedian I was talking about, that she was talking about socialized medicine with, it was Tim Dillon. Whatever these. I don't even know what you want to call them. Anyway, let's get back to the topic at hand here. Oh, I got to pull that comment down. The chat's moving faster. There we go. All right. So Tucker Carlson was seen at the White House with Donald Trump's meeting with the oil executives. This comes in the wake of everything that went on down in Venezuela, taking Maduro out. And there he is. This was posted by Laura Loomer. Laura Loomer is obviously vehemently anti-Tucker Carlson. But Tucker shows up. He's here, suckling at the power teat, so to speak, and playing nice with President Trump. But we have to remember that just before Donald Trump had taken out Maduro, Tucker Carlson was, praising Maduro because of his social stances, because of the LGBT thing. He doesn't allow gay marriage. He doesn't allow transgenderism. He doesn't recognize any of that stuff, basically propping him up. And he finds these odd people to prop up. He props up Maduro. He props up Sharia law. And he's now going behind Donald Trump's back with, Donald Trump endorsed Byron Donalds. And Byron Donalds' opponent, James Fishback, was recently on his show. And, of course, Tucker Carlson gives him a glowing endorsement. And, again, the common thread is where people stand on Israel. I guess IDS, right? It's Israel derangement syndrome. So he supports Sharia law. He's played nonstop on Iranian TV. They're in the middle of a revolution. And what are they playing? I played the clip the other day, and this has been confirmed now because it's made its way around the internet. They're playing Tucker Carlson on Iranian television. Tucker Carlson is buying property in Qatar, and yet Donald Trump still has him around and is introducing him to, the oil execs and all these people that he's trying to cut deals with. It's so odd that Donald Trump doesn't know this. And if he does, maybe he's just making a political move. Maybe he's got a plan. I'm going to trust the guy. He's gained a lot of, I've always liked Donald Trump. I did not vote for him the first time around. I definitely did. Every other time I voted for him, but I was skeptical of him at first. And after his first term, and it wasn't as successful as I had hoped, I thought, oh boy, here we go. We got another one down, but he came back with a vengeance, and he's doing amazing things. We aren't even 12 months. Well, we're just coming up on 12 months of him being in office, and look at what he's been able to do. And these other people, Marjorie Taylor Green, Tucker Carlson, the comedian, the people on the comedian circuit that are doing podcasts and talking politics, they're mad about they're mad about Israel. B, they're mad that the Epstein list wasn't fixed, but they just ignore everything else that Donald Trump has done. I forget where I was going with that, but this is also over on the left. Something interesting is happening. So there's a shift. Tucker Carlson and people of his ilk who have been praising Sharia law and who called Hamas, it's a political movement. It's not a terrorist organization. Now the left has come out in lockstep, in unison, saying Hamas is a terrorist organization. We do not support terrorists. Even AOC. These are all pro-Hamas people. They're ranting and raving about, the Palestinians and it's a political movement there. That's Hamas is just a political movement that was to support the disenfranchised people. Now they're saying we don't support them. And so AOC is doing it. Chuck Schumer is doing it. Mamdani is doing it. Kirsten Gillibrand is doing it. Kathy Hochul is doing it. What do they know that we don't know? What is coming down the pipe? Because they think we have forgotten what they've said ever since October 7th. They think we have just entirely whitewashed everything that they've said, and that we're just going to believe them now. Yes, it is a terrorist organization. Their base has been waving Palestinian flags, saying they support Hamas, chanting from the river to the sea. What in the world is happening? But I highlight this because Tucker Carlson was lockstep with the left. Now the left is turning. I'm be interested to see what he does. And if you remember, this is Tucker Carlson with the president of Iran versus Ted Cruz. I have to bring it up.
Do you believe the Israeli government tried to assassinate you?
They did try, yes. And they acted accordingly, but they failed.
Okay, so you're aware of a plot to kill Trump?
Yes.
When?
Let me point out.
Has anyone been arrested? No one has been arrested for these assassination
They have.
attempts. They've hired hitmen. How do we know that? This just seems like a huge headline, and you're acting like everyone knows this. I didn't know that. But I just want to pull that thread because it's so important. No, it's a big deal.
And but I would like to tell you that I am not afraid of sacrificing myself for
So you softball. This is the point. Shout out to Nathan Livingstone at Milk Bar TV. So you softball the head of a, well, I mean, I guess the Ayatollah is the Khomeini is the real leader. This guy's more of a figurehead, but Iran is it's a dictatorship, and you softball it with dictators. And yet when a senator says that he supports Israel, you're going to come at him with a vengeance. And then you do the same thing when a Nick Fuentes comes on. You softball a Nick Fuentes. And yet you lambast anybody who is, well, he hasn't had anybody else on other than Ted Cruz that doesn't fit his particular narrative or doesn't buy into his particular belief system. And if he hasn't asked them about it. But this is what's weird. I don't understand why this guy still has a seat at the table. We're out here picking up the grifters. We're out here identifying. You guys know this, and you've seen this. We're out here seeing all the nonsense coming from the MTGs, the Candace Owens, the Tucker Carlsons, the Nick Fuentes, these divisive figures who are trying to break up MAGA, who are undermining Donald Trump. Why is Trump not able to see that? And why is it that he's still okay with even a World War II revisionist, which is Tucker Carlson? Here you go. Rewriting the story. It's all rewriting the story.
When
it's such
Roosevelt
a leftist
allowed
tactic.
Pearl Harbor to happen, which he did. That's been proved, I think. And he did that in order to get us into a war that people didn't want.
With a third of Europe now under Nazi control, America still sits on the sidelines.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
4 days after the attack on Pearl Harbor, Germany and Italy declare war on the United States.
December 1941, the United States came fully into the war.
What was the post-war order? It was based on one idea. It is wrong for bigger countries to swallow up smaller countries just because they want to. That's why we declared war against Germany when they went into Poland. But weirdly, we did not declare war against the Soviet Union when they did the same thing the same day. We declared war against Germany when they went into Poland.
War between the United...
He can't even get his history right. Again, kudos. Nathan Livingstone, you saved me so much editing time. The guy's great. If you're not following Nathan Livingstone on Milk Bar TV, this is, in fact, let me go to his account so that you guys can see it. This is the one you're looking for. Go and follow this guy. He does amazing mashups. And you guys let me know down in the comments if you're already following him over on X. Okay. Let me see here. I just lost my place. Haven't done that in a while. Oh, here we go. And you know you've got Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly. They recently did a show together, and some people pointed this out, and I'm going to bring it up to your all's attention because I think it's worthwhile. That basically they're what's the way to put it? They're kind of talking out of both sides of their mouths, I guess would be the best way to put it. So Megyn Kelly, she has come to the defense of Candace Owens. So has, I mean, I haven't really heard a ton about Tucker coming to her defense. He's more or less stayed out of it. He's shaping his own narrative over on his channel. and shaping his own worldview and revisionist history worldview. But Megyn, on the other hand, who's been typically been a pretty solid arbiter of truth, of facts, and you know, I say kind of used to sit down the middle. She's now pro Candace, supporting what's the way to put it? She's pro Candace asking questions, specifically when it comes to Israel. And yet, let me just play these clips, and then we'll talk about it.
And then it switched to Erica Kirk and Turning Point. Turning Point became the focus of Candace Owens. And honestly, Tucker, from that point forward, I worked with Turning Point and Erica regularly to say, look, Candace has the right to ask the questions she wants to ask. I'm very close with everybody there, as I know you are too. And I talk with them at length often about what's the best way of handling this, right? And I did not think it was a great idea to go out and try to combat each claim. I really thought just let her do her thing. You don't get to police her, but you also don't have to respond to every question she asks. Like, that's just not, I wouldn't do it, and I don't suggest you do it. Sometimes they agreed with me, sometimes they didn't. But for the whole time, I was in close contact with them. And then ultimately, Erica was asking me if I would help forge a meeting with them, broker a peace of some sorts. I told her, maybe you could just email Candace and put it to bed. Maybe that's the best way instead of like getting together, I don't know, or doing she wanted. I spoke with Candace too and was honest with her. And I've gotten to know her a lot better over the past 6 months. And actually, I know her better now than ever. And I've learned a lot about what's being done to Candace by some of the people we've been discussing. Yep. And it's disgusting. And I'm horrified by what she's been put through.
So let me play the rest of it here.
So I'm really just not in the mood. I'm not her policeman. I don't want to be her policeman. You don't like her, don't click on her face. Same for me, same for you.
So here's the weird thing, that it's, stop attacking Candace. Candace is a victim, and she's very good at playing a victim. Yet TPUSA is fair game. This is the what we've gotten from these posts. TPUSA, I'm so in favor of Candace asking all these questions, playing dumb whenever Ben Shapiro brought up the fact that Candace was trying to implicate Erica and TPUSA in the assassination of Charlie Kirk. So she plays soft on that no, that's perfectly fine. But leave poor Candace alone, because Candace, this is what narcissists do. They put those messages in your ear. They fill you full of their nonsense. They're very, very convincing. You believe them. You start to see them as the victim, even though they are the perpetrator of the actual evil in whatever circumstance it happens to be. And I'm shocked that Megyn Kelly, she is a very smart woman, was a very accomplished lawyer. She's been she was a great news anchor. She was a great debate moderator. How in the world does somebody like that fall for this? Tucker, I just think I think he pretends to be smarter than he is. I'm starting to think he's a bit of a doof. I don't know him. I can only, by his fruits, by what he's producing, I can only make an assessment. But I don't understand Megyn Kelly's position on this. And yesterday, I kind of alluded to to it being the attacks that she's taken from the pro-Israel side, which are very real. People like Mark Levin, who is doing more harm for that cause than good. I'm sorry if you're a Mark Levin fan, but that guy's unhinged rants on X are only driving people away from that cause. But I highlight all these people to say, we are thankfully understanding who the grifters are on our side. Who are the ones that are, that don't align with our morals and our beliefs? Who are the ones who will change with the political winds? Who will change for, I don't know if it's for viewership, if it's for, for what reason? But I mean, just the very nature of, Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson playing nice with Nick Fuentes. I'm going to play a clip here. Here we go. This is Charlie Kirk.
I've heard a little bit about the Groypers. Do you know some of the names of the influencers who are taking advantage of the conservative youth movement? I want to read materials.
Yeah, so thank you. So first of all, I do know the names. I'm not going to repeat them because that only makes them and their little irrelevant circle bigger.
Nick Fuentes, thank you for doing this.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I wanted to meet you.
He's got a really compelling message, which is like 90% true.
We want 1,000 Dietrich Bonhoeffers. I like the Bonhoeffer example because of the circumstances, the tyranny.
Yes.
But I also like the Bonhoeffer because I never want to make anyone feel as if I'm being anything but honest. It's going to cost us something. God forbid our life like that. but eventually we're all going to have to go to heaven. And so Bonhoeffer is the example of, hey, I'm willing to sacrifice everything I have for God's purpose on earth.
Because once you start calling people Nazis, we really have no choice but to start shooting them. To be Dietrich Bonhoeffer and sort of reach the end of reason or even Christianity. Bonhoeffer decided Christianity's not even, he was a Lutheran pastor. Christianity's not enough. We have to kill the guy. I'm not judging Bonhoeffer, who was a great man in some ways, but...
Why do we give $3.8 billion to Israel, especially when they deliberately attacked the USS Liberty in the 1970s?
That is incorrect. Do not peddle conspiracy theories in our event. That is not acceptable. Do not say that.
Well, we put up with the attack on the USS Liberty that everyone's so afraid to talk about, clearly targeted on purpose by a country we're supporting, Israel.
You get rid of Christianity, and then, even more dangerous, you go from secularism then to Islam. Because then you're like, well, we have to believe in something, and then you bring in a completely different ideology that's at odds with Western values.
He's like, you know what Islam means? Submission. And like, let it hang in the air like that was self-evidently disgusting. And I was like, I kind of think submission to God is like the whole point of life, but I didn't say anything. I was like, I don't think I'm against that, actually.
I cannot see a single Western country that has become more Islamic and has become a better place to live that is happier or freer.
By what metric? Just happiness, quality of life?
Everything from quality of life, from cultural cohesion.
Sharia law is bad, Seth. I don't know if you've heard that. It's bad. It's worse than what's happening in New York and Detroit. It's just bad.
A tragic truth of war is that civilians die. I don't like it, and you don't like it. And they brought it upon themselves. The only operation and entity to blame is the leadership of Hamas, not the Israeli government, for fighting this defensive war after they were invaded.
The essence of the Christian faith. And killing tens of thousands of children and then making excuses for it on behalf of a foreign government is not in there.
Why is it that they haven't built a new school or hospital in the last 5 years? Hundreds of millions of dollars pour into Gaza. It's because Hamas runs Gaza right now, and they're a terrorist organization.
Hamas is a group of jihadis. They're Islamic extremists, which they also claim constantly. Which I don't know if that's true, by the way. It seems more like a political organization.
And it really goes down to the hatred of the Jews. And that's really where you need to meet people, is at the basic, it's not anti-Zionism. I'm so sick and tired of hearing that. It is anti-Semitism. Because if it was Zionism and the Arabs were all of a sudden, in control, then people, oh, that's fine, whatever. The Zionism is the idea that Jewish people should have a home. But if you hate Jews altogether, then of course you're going to hate the idea that they have a home.
An attack on Western civilization looks like this. It's tribalism, it's identity politics, it's DEI, it's whatever. It's Zionism.
What is the justification?
Okay, you get the idea. He is in so many ways diametrically opposed to everything that Charlie Kirk stood for, and diametrically opposed to what the MAGA movement really was. Now, a lot of that, there's a lot of Israel stuff in there. You guys know, if you've been watching this channel, you know my stance on it. Obviously, Israel has a right to exist, but I also think that the $2.8 billion that we're, or $3.8 billion that we're sending them every year isn't helping them, because it's being used as a political cudgel against their country. And even prominent, Israelis or Jews or whatever have said that that's the case. So that's my, more or less my take on it. But yeah, these people, not just Tucker, but other people, are diametrically opposed to what we are trying to do. And Tucker's, it's like, it's at an ideological level that Hamas, a recognized international terrorist organization, is merely a political movement. It's downplaying Sharia law, which we've seen. I've personally seen firsthand what it's like for people to live under Sharia law. Women dressed like beekeepers, locked away, beaten, and subjugated by men. It ain't good. Tucker, I guess, has seen that and approves of it. This is why I've lost my patience with the guy. I really have. And when he says identity politics, the individuals that he is like a Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes is an identity politician. He's into identity politics. That's his whole platform, is identity politics. We don't buy into identity politics. He has lumped in things like Zionism and whatever with identity politics, and they're starting to say this is identity politics, and that's nonsense, actually. I'm just so over it. You guys let me know. Boy, y'all are blowing up the chat. Lots of chats tonight. Great day in the morning. Oh, I got a super chat. Thank you. Let's go have a good Saturday night. There we go. Niles, you're the man. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. I need to have something that pops up with a big buzzer. It shows up, but it just pops up in a tiny little window. It's like, come on, software. This is a super chat. Good gracious. Thanks, man. You're awesome. I've got such a great group of folks. Y'all are fantastic. Okay. So let's see here. I hope I didn't leave that one on a cliffhanger, so I apologize if I did. But I'm going to move on to talk about something that I talked about yesterday, and it has to do with these protests. And by the way, the next show, I'm probably going to talk a bit more about Iran, because this is, I mean, it's a huge deal, but I'm still trying to learn a bit about what's going on. You know, who's going to be the person that takes over if they start to oust the federal government. Patrick Bet-David, who's from Iran, has been providing a lot of opinion on that. He understands that culture a bit more than I do. So I'm not really bringing anything to the forefront on that one yet. However, I will, because I think it's fascinating, you know, that this country that is, you know, I mean, it's a theocracy. People are actually standing up. That's what I say about most of the countries that we hop in there and we say, we're going to come to the rescue of these people or those people. You know, we did it ourselves against the greatest superpower in the world back when we started the great US of A. Why aren't other people doing this? And, you know, anyway, I'll talk more about that one later. Okay, so let's get next point here. Let's talk about some of these protests. I glazed over this yesterday, but I don't think I played the video. And I guess I could have gone back to look. But this is the guy. I don't know if you all remember this dude. This dude was one of the J6 police officers. And I highlighted the politicians that are calling for violence. So the politicians are telling these people, shoot them, or not shoot them, but they're saying, we're going to take it to the streets. You be violent. You know, I said what I said, that lady that was talking about being violent against the police and calling them Gestapo and all of this. And Michael Fanone, he's a former Washington, D.C. police officer who was at the Capitol on January 6th, has suggested that ICE agents should be shot in the aftermath of the shooting of Renee Good, who was killed by an ICE agent when she rammed. Obviously, we know all that. And he says, it's time for the American people to organize and utilize their Second Amendment right to protect themselves from what has clearly become an unaccountable and lawless agency that's killing Americans. You know, these people act as though their words hold no weight. Even that's kind of how they pitch it. They say it, but they know that they do. They know that when there's a call to violence for the people that have been attacking ICE over the past, several days or for the past week, however long it's been, they know that they're going to ratchet it up. They say it intentionally. And just like the guy that I showed yesterday, posting the video of him at the shooting range, they know what that's signaling. That's the dog whistle to their people. But we have to remember that this guy, and I grabbed the wrong one. I've got to pull up my note here on it. It was actually in my yesterday's comment. This guy perjured himself in front of Congress. I don't know if you all knew this or not, but let me see here. I got to pull this one up. This was, let's see. Let me pull this up and read it to you. So the allegations that former Metro Police Department officer Michael Fanone perjured himself. This is multiple things. One is body cam footage discrepancies. He said that in his July 27th, 2021 congressional testimony, Fanone described being dragged into the crowd by rioters, beaten with fists and pipes, repeatedly tased, including with his own stun gun, sprayed with chemical irritants, threatened with his own firearm, hearing chants like, kill him with his own gun. This is what he said. This is part of his testimony. He stated he lost consciousness for about 4 minutes, suffered a heart attack due to prolonged high heart rate, a concussion, burns, traumatic brain injury, post-traumatic stress disorder, which ultimately led to his retirement. He retired so he could become a political commentator, so he could become another, pundit or whatever. But the body cam, and I was trying to find the video. I couldn't find the video of him after the fact, but his own body cam footage, which was released publicly, and for whatever reason, I couldn't find it on X. So my apologies for that. But it shows him even joking with colleagues 10 to 30 minutes after the time he claimed to have been assaulted and suffered a heart attack. One clip depicted him laughing about the event and being restrained by the crowd from drawing his weapon, which critics argue undermines his claims of being unconscious, severely injured, or near death. Another analysis notes he appeared unscathed and active for half an hour post-incident, contradicting his narrative. He perjured himself. These people are liars. They are cheats. They are deceivers. And they get on social media, and just because it's confirmation bias for the people who they hate Donald Trump, they hate ICE, they hate federal law enforcement, local law enforcement, whatever, they jump on board and say, yeah, I can get on board with this. That's the contagion that we're trying to avoid. And I had another clip here. Let's see. Oh my goodness. I'm a mess tonight. Okay. Well, you get the idea. You guys get the idea. Boy, I'm all over the place tonight. My apologies. This is from Brevard County, and I've got to play this one. This is what we should expect from law enforcement. Let's just say, after I do this one, I'm going to get to comments, but let's just go ahead and say this is the type of law enforcement that we're looking for. Right here.
I'm gonna break it down for you, all right? And if somebody wants to know what I mean by turn violent, all right, this is what I mean. If you resist lawful orders, you're going to jail. Let me be very clear about that. If you block an intersection or a roadway in Brevard County, you are going to jail. If you flee arrest, you're going to go to jail tired, because we are going to run you down and put you in jail. If you try to mob rule a car in Brevard County, gathering around it, refusing to let the driver leave, in our county, you're most likely going to get run over and dragged across the street. If you spit on us, you're going to the hospital and in jail. If you hit one of us, you're going to the hospital and jail, and most likely get bitten by one of our big, beautiful dogs that we have here. If you throw a brick, a firebomb, or point a gun at one of our deputies, we will be notifying your family where to collect your remains at, because we will kill you graveyard dead. We're not going to play.
How hard is that? That's law enforcement. Good order and discipline. That's all we're looking for. In these leftist cities, they cannot hold it together. And this is Minneapolis police. I showed you yesterday the dadgummit. Now my thing's not working here. Let's see. This is from Fox News. Minneapolis police nowhere to be found as agitators seize control of the street after the ICE shooting. So they're doing what they did during Chaz and Chop and all that nonsense. There we go. Nowhere to be found. They're sealing off streets. They're blocking. They're throwing up garbage on streets like they used to do in Mogadishu. If you watch Black Hawk Down, and they're stacking tires and cars and all this stuff. Basically, these leftist cities, the police just roll over and they say, well, it's going to be a PR nightmare. The governor's going to come out against us. The mayor's going to come out against us. Just turn it over to these people. So Minneapolis Police Department was absent from the block where Wednesday's ICE shooting unfolded, allowing agitators to seize control of the street and erect makeshift barricades that kept others out of the area. According to the Department of Homeland Security, the shooting happened, of course, we've talked about that. Following the shooting, agitators took control of the street where the shooting took place and used makeshift barricades with chairs. And I showed you this yesterday. Or I think that the one yesterday, that might have been in a different city. But this is what the one looks like in on that street. And News Nation was there. I watched a clip today from News Nation, and one of their anchors, one of their news anchors, was there and just absolutely getting harassed. So this is the kind of nonsense that the police just say, fine, you guys have at it. And this little residential neighborhood that didn't need to be bothered by all this stuff is now locked down by a bunch of crazy lefties. I'm for law and order. I hope you guys are too. I hope that, well, we'll see what happens. We'll see. ICE certainly doesn't need to stop. ICE needs to ramp up, not in a bad way, but they need to, just like the one I was showing you before. You throw a brick, you're going to get chased down, and you're going to get face planted. You're going to get a mouthful of pepper spray, bear spray, mace, whatever they've got. You're going to get the pepper balls from the guns. All right, let's see. All right, boy, tons of comments. Let's see how many I can get to. Great day in the morning. Let's see. I want Trump to blast her. I just saw this one. Yes. I mean, do I think it'll happen? No. I mean, I don't know. I don't understand. I really don't understand why Donald Trump is still cozied up with Tucker, why Tucker is still invited to those things. Maybe, and again, like I say, it could just be him playing politics, and he's gotten pretty good at that. But this is, there you go. I think he is a chaos agent. That's 100% right. I hope I didn't lose you. I'm going back up through the comments. I can't listen to this drivel. You just have to mute. You had to mute it, I guess. Here, let me go back to the top and see what I'm missing here. They are insane. What in the world? Let's see. Yeah, I highlighted this one from you, Ben. Absolutely. That the Trump administration is on point with social media. Let's see. Yep, there you go. Disgusted when he's being played in Iran. Oh boy. This was for that guy that they tackled. That's true. Down here we say he's smiling at you whenever the plumber's back. Plumber butt hang out the top of your pants. My parents used to say that when we were kids. You'd squat down and your crack was showing. They'd say, "Hey, you're smiling at me. Pull those pants up." Let's see. Nate the lawyer did a live the other day and looked it up. ICE does the exact same training as police, a 13-week course, I think. Okay. Oh, Nate the lawyer. Who's Nate the lawyer? Let's see. Yeah, so H-1Bs. This was, and again, why in the world is my comment? I recently updated my computer, and now my software has been going bananas. Let's see here. So if you're talking about MTG, I think I'm reading this right. Let me read it all the way through. My goodness. So she tried to get away with the H-1B visas in her own business, and now that no one really wants a bar of the H-1B visa, she's going to the party that loves H-1B visas. If you're talking about MTG, I know exactly what you're talking about. She came out saying that, we can't do the deportations. It's going to kill our labor market, and it's because she has construction companies. They rely on that labor, and that's one way. In one way, she's turned against Trump is she's not necessarily for closed borders. She definitely doesn't support any reform to the H-1B visa program. Yeah, that is a great way to put it. Just less likable, and she is not likable. But here's the other thing. That's what made her so popular, the firebrand. We're always over on the right looking for a firebrand who's going to be Matt Gaetz was much the same way. And we jump on it and we latch onto them so long as they support us. But we're I don't want to say fickle, but sometimes it's to our detriment. We jump on board with people, and we're always going to have grifters. I mean, let's just be honest. We're never going to get away from it entirely. And so it's just up to us to identify the people that are the grifters, identify the people that don't have our best interests at heart, identify the people that are going to disrupt our movement, call it out, and then be unified in whatever our direction is. MAGA and the Trump administration, that has been kind of our North Star, I guess you would say. That's what we've been following, and we have veered off around certain things, but like this, other people in the administration have said it. I have said it. Not that I'm obviously in the administration or anything. I'm just a guy on the internet. But we know it's going to take multiple presidential terms. Trump, it was not going to get it all done in one term. Whoever comes after him, it probably needs another 2 terms. But the likelihood of that happening is slim. We're probably going to have another time where a Democrat comes in. I've said that we could it's very realistic for us to lose control in the midterms. It could be very realistic that we lose in 2028 because of the divisions that we have going on. Some polling says that the schism isn't as wide as we tend to think or as it looks online, but that's to be determined. I don't want to leave it to chance. So, yeah, there's the possibility we could lose. And then we've got Democrats that are going to come in, and they're going to undo as much of Donald Trump's progress as possible. So it's a lengthy process. Trump is just, he's getting us on the right track. And I love him for that. I think it's great. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Can you look at my IRS seal question? Let me see. Thanks again for another super chat, Niles. You're on a roll tonight. Let's see. Where was it? Let me scroll down here and see. Was it towards the bottom? Let me start down at the bottom and go. Marxism and push more anti-Semitic group, but they are fundamental in both. Oh, wait, no, that's the wrong one. MTG is a joke, just like Matt Gaetz, yeah. Put 30 years in her work. Let's see. Look at my IRS. Oh, Israel. Okay. So I put for the 30 years, I've never heard a word. I'm guessing this is this one you were talking about. Never heard a word about Israel. Now I hear it every day, and I'm honestly sick of it. I guess that's my point. Why all of a sudden is it a deal? It's a deal because it's honestly, I think it's just a divisive thing. There's always been, I guess people having issues around AIPAC. First off, that it's they are Americans. They are lobbying for politicians to do what's in the best interest of their country. So AIPAC has always been a thing that people they talked about it, but it was never a huge deal. It was just kind of part of the process, right? But it is a divisive thing, and I think that's why people have honed in on it. And October 7th was the ultimate opportunity for them to use that as a wedge in the Republican Party. Because you're right, nobody ever talked about it. Nobody cared about it. They didn't care about the $3.8 billion. Everybody acknowledged that they're spending 75% of it back in the U.S. It was just foreign aid, just like we do with other countries. I've shown the numbers of the other countries, whether it's Jordan, Egypt, Sudan, other countries that we're given $1 billion, $1.5 billion, $2 billion to. We're pumping all the money out. When people started bringing up foreign aid as a problem when it comes to spending, that we needed to get rid of all this foreign aid, Israel was the one that everybody was really champing at the bit because, or that was really pushing to the front because it was the largest other than the money that we were sending into Ukraine. So it really just kind of snowballed after the October 7th thing, that it used to be lumped in as all foreign aid, but then, the people that have been sitting back is kind of how it looked. They're sitting back saying, I don't like the fact that we're giving money to Israel, but it's not popular to say that right now. October 7th happened, and then Israel's response got ginned up in the media, and then they jumped on board and said, oh, well, it's because of all these bad things that the leftist media is saying that they're doing. Now we really have reason to let the crescendo go, and we'll start slamming Israel hard, start slamming the Trump administration really hard for providing money to them. I hope that makes sense. It was just waiting back there. Everybody was kind of waiting for it. The foreign aid has been a talking point for forever and a day. And I tend to agree with it. Do I think that there's circumstances where it's acceptable? Yeah, absolutely. But in most cases, it's not. I look at foreign aid, think about Sudan as an example. Sudan is a place where the population, South Sudan, well, let's talk about South Sudan. In South Sudan, people were displaced, and they were living in Uganda in refugee camps for the longest time. The Muslims kicked them out. The Sudanese kicked them out. The entire generations grew up in refugee camps. Then eventually they get back into South Sudan. They come back into South Sudan, but these people had been living on aid in food, money, all these things that we had been, sending down there to help support the refugees and all this. They'd been out of their land for so long they didn't even know how to farm the land. Like we can have a detrimental impact on a culture of poverty because we're just filling them full of rice and beans and whatever else they need, and the people aren't getting, they like in South Sudan don't even know how to farm their own land. Does that kind of make sense? So there's instances where I think foreign aid is acceptable. There's other instances where I'm like, no. And I do think we need to reel it all back in for a while and then do it on a case-by-case basis. Because we don't have the money. Let's be honest. You guys know this. We do not have the money to be sending it to other countries. Let's see. Let's see. Niles making it rain. Let's see. I want Ron DeSantis. JD Vance, Ron DeSantis is what I hear the plan is. Oh, that would be interesting. Boy, Ron DeSantis, I'm sorry. If you're a Ron DeSantis fan, he is a really bad candidate. He was terrible when he was running again. He was a terrible candidate. JD Vance is a good one, He is. Oh yeah, this one. Sorry, I'm bouncing around in the comments now. I apologize. Let's see. Megan. Exactly. They don't mention CARE. That's it. There are lobbying. Lobbying is a problem in general. Lottie-dottie everybody has got lobbyists in Washington, D.C. People have a beef with AIPAC because it's tied to one specific country and it's one specific country they hate. But yeah, CARE it's more of the same thing, Center for America Islamic Relations, right? I think that's what the acronym stands for. And they support the Muslim Brotherhood. They're a bunch of nut jobs. That doesn't get any publicity. That doesn't get any traction. Let's see. I like my answer to Nas' question best, and it's also popular with people that are for white supremacy, and it gets engagement, and that means people can make money. Let's see. I didn't see yours. Oh, you wanted Ron DeSantis and Marco Rubio for his VP. Interesting. Okay. Whoa. Hang on. K Hopper. Hey there from southern middle Tennessee. I'm in Tennessee too. Tennessee. There we go. The volunteer state. I'm not going to ask you where you're from. You don't need to tell me where you're from on the internet, but it's good to have another Tennessean. That's good. Let's see. If Trump wasn't around. You think so? That's interesting. Probably true. I guess that would be true. Too polarizing to win, but Marco has more appeal to right. Yeah, and I don't know if you guys remember when he was running the last time. Little Marco, Donald Trump with all of his silly nicknames. But yeah, Ron was, whoever was running his campaign, I think that was his biggest problem. His campaign folks were they were downright hateful to commentators and other people who wouldn't just give him glowing recommendations. Like, come on, this is politics, people. What in the world did you expect? So I know Tim Pool was criticizing his campaign like vehemently. Like, these people are idiots, is essentially what he said. And yeah, they're going to lose him the election. There's absolutely no way he's going to get elected. He would have to do a big image change. Plus, the if it's true, the lifts in his boots and that sort of thing, I don't know. I never got a full resolution on that one as to whether or not it was true. But there you go. The fantastic governor, bad charisma. He is, and that's the other thing. I really think his calling was to be the governor of Florida. I really do. Now, I'm not, I'm just speaking from opinion. I'm speaking from my observation. He is doing an amazing job down in Florida. Of course, Tucker, he's had plenty of criticisms for him, but who really cares? It's just Tucker. Yeah. Let's see. I'm surrounded here, guys, by... Oh, no. You're in Chicago. You said... he said, Niall says, I'm surrounded here by lefties. You're in Chicago. Oh, bummer, man. Yeah, that's that place is... Although there's a pretty popular movement of people that are trying to shift Chicago into, red territory. I'd be interested to see if it could happen. Let's see. And I'm going to give a quick shout out. If you're new on here, before we close this, which I've still got some more comments to get to, but be sure to hit that subscribe button, like button, and notification bell. Hugely helpful for us in the algorithm. It helps keep our engagement up. I'm appreciative for everybody that's been in here tonight. Let's see. So that's one back towards Iran. Oh, Tucker hadn't said anything about it. I can play the video. I don't know if you weren't in here in the live stream yesterday. I can definitely pull that video up for you. Tucker, in fact, it was all over the internet today as well. Let me see if I can find it here. Tucker. Oh, gosh. Everything is just malfunctioning on me today, guys. Tucker played in Iran. Yeah, it's the videos. I think it's millions upon millions. Oh, boy. People are going to hate who I'm pulling this post from because it was APAC that posted this one. That's not who it originated from. It's from some other person, some lady. But here you go. Oh, my goodness. X, what is your problem? Ugh, hang on. Dadgummit.
So the Islamic regime right now is literally broadcasting Tucker Carlson interviews in Persian on their 24-hour news channel. The country is in a state of chaos, and yet for some reason, the Islamic regime is choosing to play Tucker Carlson interviews because this is like, it's Islamist propaganda.
I mean, this is, mosques are being burned. Women are taking their hijabs and burning them in the streets. They are, the people in Iran are, it's going absolutely insane in that place. And it's not people are saying, oh, it's protests. No, this looks like revolution is what it looks like. And, people can only, they can only handle so much. Hey, Debbie. I don't know if you've ever been on here before. Yep. Tucker is a joke. He has become a joke. I'm fed up with the guy. I'll be honest. I'm just so tired of him. That's funny. Iranian propaganda spokesman. Oh yeah. There you go. Memphis, Nashville, and Knoxville. I'm closer to Knoxville than any of those others. But yeah, they're. I don't know. Some of these places I think could recover. Memphis, there's no effort to really try to recover Memphis. Nashville, it's from all the transplants. These transplants come in and they keep voting the same way. They keep voting blue. And it turns into, Nashville turns from purple to blue. And like you say, Memphis is gone. Knoxville, which is further east. If you guys don't know, Memphis is the far west. Nashville, obviously the capital in the middle. And then you go all further east, and Knoxville is one of the bigger cities to the east where the University of Tennessee is. And it's a university city, so obviously it's going to be kind of purple. But Memphis is blue through and through. Like there's absolutely no red down there. It's not even really part of the state. But there's also, not that I'm aware of, a movement that's trying to, turn it back red or try to shift the politics. And there probably wouldn't be, because it's more or less just a safe haven for Democrats in the state of Tennessee, just like Nashville is. But when you look at Tennessee in general, it's red through and through. Chicago, on the other hand, is, I mean, it's surrounded by a lot of, I mean, it's a lot of blue there. And there's an active component of people that are actually trying to change it. So we'll see. We'll see. I remain hopeful for places like Chicago. Oh, thanks so much. That's okay. That's all right. It's all good. I'm glad you're here, Debbie. Let's see. Yeah, full on revolt. That's what's going on there. Let's see. I think I've gotten through comments. If there's any guys, if you had any comments that I missed because you guys blew up the chat tonight, in a good way, it's a good thing. I appreciate it. But I started scrolling down, and if I missed something that you really wanted me to talk about, please let me know. Let's see. It's become more of a scary place too. I'm glad out on Long Island we are red. That's interesting. There's, a lot of those blue cities, they've got little hideaways, it seems like, for more conservative people. But I didn't realize that Long Island was red. That's interesting. I had no idea. Let's see. Everyone should be following Andy No for any and all information about the protesters that organize. Yeah, Andy No does great reporting. He really does. That's a great point, Megan. He does fantastic work. And poor guy. I mean, he got, what was it, a concussion? He got bashed over the head several years ago by Antifa, and he keeps going out and he keeps finding the info, finding the data. Yes, they did. This is what they did. Thousands. Okay, here's the other piece to this Iranian bit. And again, PBD was talking about it, although he's talking to people there, people that are tapped into what's going on in Iran. And low estimates are hundreds of people, but high estimates are thousands of people that have been killed by the regime. So we'll eventually know the accurate number or thereabouts. People from inside will get the information out. But this is what they did the last time, is thousands and thousands of people were killed by their government. Yeah, so it's going to be, it's bad. This is, Heather, this is an interesting point here. So radical Islam is, if it's failing in Iran, which is, we had to deal with it when we were overseas. That's where a lot of the munitions and things, especially when we were in Iraq, that's where a lot of the stuff was coming from. Iran, it's one of their, I guess, it's part of their political or part of their diplomatic strategy is to fuel radical organizations with weapons and munitions to either fight Israel, to launch rockets at Israel, or to kill Americans or whatever. And they're kind of set up on the hill, set up on a pedestal as that example of pure on Sharia law, radical Islam. It's what the entire world would look like if the caliphate were to ever come into existence, which it won't. But nonetheless, if it's falling there, that does send a message around the world for everything else. And you're right, Iran has been through these interesting periods in time. I'm not entirely familiar with their history. I've heard people talk about it, so I can't speak with any real authority over it. But whether it was the Shah, like under the Shah versus the guy now, Khomeini, Ayatollah. So there's all that stuff, their governance. Don't entirely understand all the history behind Iran. I do understand Sharia law, and I do understand, that political system, governmental system. I do have a bit of an understanding about that. But if that big domino falls, it could have an impact elsewhere. More like give them an inch and it'll take over a whole country. Islam will never succeed. It can only take over with force. Well, that partially true, Junior. But I also think that they take over in little pockets, and then it's like the seeds that get planted, and then it's like growing bamboo. That's a great way to be my analogy for it. Bamboo, you plant one bamboo plant, and next thing you know, it's just taking over everything. That's kind of what they do. And that's what they've done in the UK. That's what they're doing in France and in Germany. It's what they're going to try to do here in the US. We're a little different because we're a huge landmass. We're vastly larger than any of the places over in Europe, any of the countries over in Europe. Plus, we do still have a pretty ironclad constitution that's going to limit a lot of the things that Sharia law wants, but they're going to disrupt from within. They're going to do it in their own pockets, like they're doing in Dearborn, Michigan, like they're doing in Minneapolis and other places. You know, they get these, they let it take root, and they have Sharia courts. They have Sharia courts right now in Texas. So it's only a matter of time, and they are very good at playing the long game. They think generationally. They don't think next election cycle like we do. Like, we're thinking election cycle. Our country's, you know, so young compared to people that are, you know, from these Muslim countries, places like Iraq, or if you're coming from the Middle East, you're talking about the cradle of civilization. And we're very short-sighted as Americans. They're more than happy to play the waiting game. That's how they fought us for 25 years in Iraq and Afghanistan. They're like, we dealt with in Afghanistan. They're like, we dealt with the Russians. We dealt with the French. You're just another group of people. You know what I'm saying? Like, we'll wait you out too. We'll keep blowing you up. Take you out a little bit at a time. Yeah, this is a great way to put it. It's a religion only because it evokes God, but it's really just an ideology. Yeah, that's really all it is. Okay, guys, we have come upon the hour. I am so appreciative for everybody being here. Before we tap out, if you guys don't mind, and you haven't done it already, be sure to hit the subscribe button, the like button, and the notification bell. I apologize for not being as prepared or as energetic as usual, because I am feeling a little under the weather today. Not that that's an excuse. I was pounding energy drinks and everything I could, vitamin C, before I came out here. But I appreciate you guys hanging in here with me. I think we got some good stuff covered. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. I have an ex-Muslim friend that converted to Christianity and says that there's no such thing as radicalism. He said, there you go. Bingo, bango, K-Hopper. This is a great point. That the, 75, I've talked about before about the polls, and now here I was about to shut down the show and I have to mention this. I've talked about the polling and the stats that have been available to us that for a very long time about people that practice Islam and what they think about Sharia law, what they think about death to apostates, what they think about, jihad and actually carrying out violent jihad around the world. And the numbers are staggering. When you think about the second largest religion in the world, it comes out to hundreds of millions of people around the globe that think at some level radical jihad and violence and death for apostasy and things like that should be allowed. So they play it down and they say, well, it's only a few percentage points here, a few percentage, just a couple, well, golly, I'm completely butchering that. They'll say it's like 10% of the people, or it's 1% of the people. In reality, it's somewhere around 20-25% of the people, and they believe that it is acceptable at some level. So those are the other people who say that, no, that should never be allowed, they're actually not following it to the letter of the law. So that's in the Christian side, it's like the people who, they say I'm a Christian, but they don't go to church, they don't read the Bible, they don't really do anything around that. They just have an understanding of God and all of that. These people that say that, no, we're a religion of peace, that is a lie that's been told for a very long time, because if you actually read through the Quran, and Wes Huff does some really good, he's done some really good shows on it. There's, who was the other guy? I listened to him. I can't remember his name now. There was a comment, AP and DW, they do a lot of stuff on this. They do a lot of videos on it. So the Apostate Prophet and David Wood, they could walk you through some pretty ridiculous, they could give you the proper framing for all of that. But yeah, it is by and large, it's not a religion of peace. And it is more of an ideology, and most of them, or a huge chunk of them, actually do, believe in violent jihad. And it's hundreds of millions of people around the globe. That's not a small number. Let's see. Okay. All right. Oh, wait, here we go. Oh my gosh. No, I didn't see that one. Oh, good grief. Are we surprised? Don't you know, MTX, they're responsible for everything. So tiresome. So tiresome. Yeah, they are good. AP and DW. They're very good. Okay, guys, I'm going to call it quits for tonight. Thank you all so much. God bless you. God bless America. I will see you all next week in the next live stream. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend and have a wonderful Sunday tomorrow. God bless, guys. I'll see you later.